Finally, SpaceX has done the unimaginable. Let's make an excitation from here. The #1 rocket space company in the world have taken a giant leap on the edge to lift the Starship from the launch mount and fly it through the sky. Something that will be recorded as a crazy leap in technology, where mysterious rocket designs were engineered to our real world to establish another means of transportation known as space travel. And this time, humans will be set to study how to live on other planets. Of a truth, we were actually sent to the world to dominate, and the knowledge gave birth to the non-resilient spirit in Elon Musk's own planet Mars, which will be completely controlled by him and his company, SpaceX. Having found success in zero-ignition wet dress rehearsal on the 23rd of January this year, the company is now preparing to ignite 33 Raptor engines and send it on a few minutes space test flight. Ride with us as we crank up some little steps and occasional preparation SpaceX is making to launch a fully stacked Starship into space in the coming month. You won't want to miss out on a dynamic prep insight space made with the launch mount, so stick around. Remember that super heavy booster has never been launched, and SpaceX is hell-bent on lifting that Starship into space. But the worrisome question is, how long will 33 Raptor engines run at full-scale operation duration? Let's strike the answer's head. The test flight will involve launching the fully stacked Starship at a few miles above the Earth, then control it to fall back to Earth and maybe cause a late suicide burn. But guess that will be a rare case since it will be set on the ground to control any forthcoming disaster. Starship is a little more poised to have a larger task to perform, a 3/4 orbit and successful fire re-entry with a late burn to simulate hard surface landing. A step ahead SpaceX could take right away is to conduct the flight test and place themselves in hopes for success. But wait a second, how did Elon Musk believe that a vehicle could actually fly from Earth to space and land on the Moon or Mars, in the midst of another terrestrial bodies, a magnificent structure developed by humans? Of course, you can recall the insight from Napoleon Hill's quote, which states that anything conceived and believed is possible and can be made manifest in the midst of men. And that's a giant quote that's crossing the mind of Elon Musk. Remember, in one of his interviews, he said, "I don't believe anything is impossible. I think anyone can build any kind of machine with the power of technology." Simply put, Elon Musk doesn't believe anything is impossible. Neither does failure get him discouraged. The Starship has successfully completed the wet dress rehearsal, and let's watch out what the months of 2023 has in stock for Elon Musk and his fans. We could be in for serious anxiety to worry about the success of the coming spaceflight SpaceX conducted in the Starship. Perhaps it may blow up during the static fire test, but an urge to hope for possibilities is premium. That is why Elon Musk shared his thoughts in a tweet that reads, "Attempt to launch in March. Success is far from certain, but excitement is guaranteed." During the test flight, the booster will separate from the ship at 150 miles after liftoff and take its descending journey back to Earth and land in the Gulf of Mexico. The ship, on the other hand, will continue its journey, flying in space at an altitude of over 150 miles, then splash down in the Hawaiian coast. It will be just a few minutes test, so we shouldn't expect the Starship to do more up there. This little timing test will be a big step forward for Elon to see his big dreams of creating a human colony on Mars coming closer and closer to exist in our reality. Meanwhile, NASA is expecting SpaceX to start working on the lunar landing contract as soon as the Starship test flight is successful. NASA plans to use Starship to land astronauts on the Moon during the Artemis 3 and 4 mission, which could happen as soon as 2025 and 2027 respectively. With a $4 billion contract, the space agency has talked to SpaceX about making a Starship version with a human landing system. As part of the deal, the company will have to send a test flight to the Moon without any astronauts on board. During the Artemis 3, astronauts will go from NASA's Orion spacecraft to the south pole of the Moon and back on Starship. But in the 4th mission, Gateway, which hasn't been built yet, will be in orbit around the Moon, and Starship will dock there and transport astronauts to and from the Moon. How likely will Starship succeed in this one? No doubt. SpaceX confidence has reached a high level. Considering several Starship successful deployments, the company has also seen success testing and launching the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. So with all these achievements, NASA is confident that SpaceX can land their astronauts on the Moon someday. But on the other hand, Musk will not be in shock if the Starship fails on the first try. He didn't have a reserve for his words when he said Starship's test in space wasn't likely to succeed on the first try. In his words, "There's a lot of risk associated with this first launch, so I would not say that it's likely to be successful." successful. So why does the company want to continue with the test flights even when Elon isn't certain it will be a success? Well, perhaps you may know another prototype, Starship 27, will be fixed and prepared to continue the sample test, that is, if Ship 24 explodes during the flight. While SpaceX may have already covered many aspects of the space market, other opportunities remain untouched. Dr. Namrata Goswami, an independent scholar on space policy, great power politics, and ethical conflict, revealed that other niches in the space venture could generate millions of dollars from investors has not yet been explored by any company. In her words, she said, "Just because a company isn't doing rockets doesn't mean it isn't attractive," Goswami said. "If companies are just able to cater to a particular niche, investments will come in." Private companies and research groups that are normally funded by the government are also working on other scientific projects SpaceX hasn't shown any interest in yet. These projects include installing solar panels in space, telescopes in orbit made of liquid mirrors, test rovers on the moon, and spaceships that are guided by artificial intelligence. Axiom, on the other hand, has started scaling up to explore space by developing the world's first commercial space station, and last year unveiled details behind its plans to conduct scientific research on stem cell treatment for cancer in low Earth orbit. Axiom is on the move to launch the first section of its space station to orbit in 2025. Not all these companies or ideas will bear fruit, experts say. Even SpaceX, after all, had to deal with multiple launch failures in its early days as it tried to perfect reusable rockets. In the immediate future, startup space companies will be faced with more challenges than they would like, and no one knows if SpaceX's success will help or be an obstacle. Either way, space startups will have to be creative to succeed in the industry. If they do, they might discover that their success in the sky is limitless, and there may be other relevant technologies that can be created out of it. Shockingly, it seems billionaire Bill Gates didn't buy Elon's Mars idea when he said he would rather pay for vaccines than traveling to Mars, which he does not think is a good way to spend money. When he was interviewed by BBC, he said, "It's actually quite expensive to go to Mars. You can buy measles vaccines and save lives for $1,000 or £814 per life saved." However, Bill Gates didn't discredit the idea of Elon's Neuralink. The co-founder of Microsoft believes artificial intelligence will pretty dramatically transform humanity. He said, "It will help us look into medical and scientific questions. It's not just robot, it's helping to read and write as well." In fact, there's been more progress than on the robotic side. Both of them will give us much higher productivity. With several headways in sophisticated technology that helps make our lives easy, Elon Musk can be described as the father of technology in our time. Do you think the forthcoming Starship spaceflight will be successful? The forecast seems to be positive causes for SpaceX Starship to announce it's ready to succeed first orbital launch attempt. Just click to know more about this.